Welcome to the Subjective Perspective Show. Season 8 is here for more, giving you what you've been waiting for. Season 8.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 158 of the Subjective Perspective Show on the Be Awoke Entertainment Network out here in the Yosemite side of California. Wishing you all a wonderful start to this summer, and we have a treat for you today. June 10th, 2022. We have one of the most brilliant visionaries in terms of sports that I've seen in some time. I don't know if you all are, fighting fans. I'm somebody who has liked to watch the world of sports, whether it's wrestling, taekwondo, jiu-jitsu, mixed martial arts through all the major companies. Well, we have the creator of Street Beefs on with us today. Chris Scarface Wilmore is with us, and we are honored to guest feature him episode 158. Now, if you haven't seen Street Beefs, you have to go over to YouTube real quick or just Google that or whatever search engine you use and just type in Street Beefs. I believe I heard Scarface speak of it as glorified sparring. Now, I think that was on one of the YouTube videos I had watched a while back. Now, this is not just sparring. These individuals really put pounding on one another, kicks, punches, whether it's boxing, whether it's MMA, whether it's kickboxing. There are incredible fighters who come from all over the country to fight. And I want to give a shout out actually to all of the different areas, regions in America that hold fighting for street beefs. And that would be the Dirty South, Street Beefs West Coast, as well as the Northwest. So street beefs in the Northwest, street beefs in the South, and the main street beefs, I believe, began in Virginia. Now, Scarface, who I will refer to as Face, as having the opportunity and luck and joy to speak with him over the last several weeks, putting this interview together. Face is, I believe, out of the Virginia area. Now, you know how I do it, everybody. I like to get into the thought sandwich where I essentially ask those questions, very simple questions to start off, and then get a bit more abstract, get into some deep ideas and interesting concepts, and then bring it back to some simple ideas. And episode 158, I believe, is going to inspire the heck out of you all. Now, listen, before Scarface zooms in here, I'd like to get our Twitter winner all set. And we have Sharon winning the Twitter retweet contest. And I know that's probably hard for you all to see, but Sharon, and I say for you to see if you're listening to this on Spotify or on the audio of at beawoke.com, then you're not able to see it. Though if you're on beawoke.com/TSP at the Subjective Perspective Show main page, you'll see this video on Video of the Week. So Sharon, it is at 66M, that's capital M, HZ, lowercase HZ. You are the winner of our Twitter retweet contest, and going to send you some cool buttons there. And get you some stickers, some cool Subjective Perspective Be Awoke stickers, and throw a keychain in there, something pretty cool for y'all. Okay, so just get to us, get in touch with us, let us know best way to send that on out. Contact beawokeent@gmail.com. Okay, we'll also reach out on Twitter to you. So now, with that said, I want to also make the point that, you know, there are some individuals within Street Beefs that I've been watching for a bit now. I want to give them a shout out before we have Face On. So I want to first give a shout out to Wolverine, who I've been watching for a couple of years now. I believe that's Corey. Corey, uh, Lord Bestaban, big shout out. The Iraqi assassin. Fair Play, got to give you a shout out. Uh, Showtime and Venom Black. That boxing match you all just put on was incredible. Thank you for that. And I hope to get into a bit of what Face thought about the final fight, I think, for Venom Black. And you all out there and that are the warriors in Street Beefs, the fighters. Thank you all for what you do. And I want everyone to realize that fighting doesn't have to be looked at in a barbaric way. When you talk to fighters, they'll tell you it's really about like a mental chess, really trying not to get hit. And also, you know, when you get into grappling and jujitsu and all that stuff, which my brother Tommy is a brown belt now. Big shout out to y'all. All our families out there in the East. We love y'all. But these fighters in Street Beefs really exemplify what it is to love the sport of fighting. I'm telling you, I couldn't do it. I'd get hit by one of those incredible fighters. I'm done. So I make the point that when you have individuals that understand the art, the science of fighting, such as all of the fighters within Street Beefs, it's a beautiful thing to watch. And just also want to make a quick little addendum, a little point here of this shirt that I'm wearing. If you're interested in getting any of these cool new shirts here, this is one of the new Be Awoke Entertainment, the Subjective Perspective shirts. Just send us a message and we'll work it all out, get that all set up for you all. So most importantly, we want you to go over to Street Beefs. Okay. We want you to support them. We want you to support Scarface in this amazing endeavor that he has taken on several years back now. So yeah, I'm excited to get into this. Also a fan. So not only somebody who is interested in getting into a deep conversation with Scarface, but somebody who has been watching for a bunch of years now. So it's going to be really cool. I want to give a big shout out to my brilliant and beautiful wife, Lisa TSP, the audio engineer of everything you see here, essentially the production manager of all of this. And all of this that you're seeing here, it's sort of like the movie Weekend at Bernie's. Lisa just gets me up here on this recliner that we got out in Santa Cruz. Want to make that point, okay? Out on a little thing called Craigslist, and some doctoral students were moving out of a house over there on, Mission, where it turns into Mission off of Highway 1, and got it for free a couple years back, and super cozy. So, really just getting me up on this perch, on this beautiful recliner. That's Lisa's job. And then she's like, she pulls the string. She's like, go. I'm like, okay, here I go. Listen, if you all have not seen us before, we've been on air since 2013. On air, audio wise, the Subjective Perspective show, though you could see us evolve into video over the years. And I believe 2015 may be our first video, but it was sort of sparsed out. We had a couple videos here and there, different locations. Now, for the last, 2-3 years, perhaps, we've been in our Central Valley, Yosemite side of California, living room studio, living room, living in peace studio here, and a bit of a fireside chat, as you can get that sense by watching this video. For those that are listening, we have a fun little fireplace behind us, keeping us nice and warm in Central Valley on a day that's going to be about 103 degrees. So we need the fireplace on these warm days. Wonderful aesthetic. And so, for episode 158, after all of these years on air, and again, everybody, you can see us at Be Awoke, that's BEAWOKE.com. And you can see all of our shows on our archives, as well as catching a couple aspects of what we do here at the show in terms of going on to our social media. So from beawoke.com or beawoke.com/TSP, as well, we have 2 different Instagram pages. You can link to us. So please do. We hope that you all do, and that you get a dose of inspiration from what we do here at the show, as we only do this for that reason, to hopefully inspire you all with the perspective of the incredible people that we are lucky enough to have on the show. And when you look in our archives, you see why we are so lucky to have Scarface on. A brilliant gentleman, somebody who has shown the world that if there's a difference you may have, you could sort of solve that difference, perhaps in the ring. Not having to resort to violence, gun violence, or knife violence, or any weapons, or anything that would not have some kind of regulation in terms of a boxing match or mixed martial arts, whatever the choice of the fighters would be. So in this day and age, I think that's so important. And what Scarface has done has brought people together who have had differences, and they've squashed their differences in the ring. This is something that, when you think about the direction things could go, and the story of Scarface, I want you all to also check out Scarface's Street Stories on YouTube. Scarface has lived life, okay? And he's somebody who has engaging stories, inspiring stories that'll make you say, oh, heart-wrenching stories, things that are difficult to even imagine. And you see how he comes out of it, and you see what he does now. And it makes you say, this is what it's about. So this is why we need to share Scarface's story. This is no joke. And let me just double check. I think I may have gotten a message from our guest. Oh, did get a message. Super quick. Scarface, thank you, brother, for your time. And let's get into the interview. And I was mentioning to the audience, Face, that it's sort of like a thought sandwich. I like to start with some simple questions and then get a little more into a couple little abstract, deep questions, and then bring it down to simple questions. And within this time frame, I have it all set. Face, first question I ask everybody, my friend, where were you born and raised?
So I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The raised question is another question altogether, because my childhood, I bounced around dramatically. I lived in Pittsburgh till age 3. Then I moved to Elkins, West Virginia, and I lived there till age 7. Then I moved to Phoenix, Arizona. I lived there until about age 12. Then I moved to Virginia. You see where this is going. So I grew up in a lot of different places.
Face, for people listening in, what's it like in those areas in Virginia and West Virginia? People who may be listening in from Japan or from Germany, what's the landscape like, and sort of what's the social climate like growing up? And what time period were you growing up?
So I was growing up, obviously in the late 80s, early 90s. Um, the social climate, I mean, it depends on which part of those states you're talking about, but there's the part in West Virginia that I lived in Elkins. It was disappointing. It had a very racist backdrop. Um, there was not a lot of minorities at all. I mean, at all. It was very, very limited. And, it just, I was very uncomfortable there. For those that don't know, I'm Black and Hispanic, and I was called the N word repeatedly while living there.
I'm sorry, brother.
Fight. Yeah,
it's disgusting, man. That gets me crazy, man.
Yeah, and here's the thing. If you look at me, I am light-skinned with, I guess what you'd say, more European or Hispanic features. And I was called the N-word. So imagine my darker brothers and sisters, how they were treated, But I want to say, so West Virginia, I hated it. I hated it. Surprisingly, Harrisonburg, Virginia was polar opposite. Harrisonburg, Virginia actually has it's this weird setup. It's a mid-sized city in Virginia of about 65,000 people, very diverse, large Hispanic population. It was actually in the Washington Post. They were saying, man, this little city has this ridiculous amount of diversity. So Harrisonburg was different, but I did do a lot of criminal stuff while I was in Harrisonburg. Phoenix, Arizona was very bad. The areas I lived, we lived in the ghetto in Phoenix, and it was bad. And so was Pittsburgh. So hopefully that answers your question.
Face, and I was mentioning in the intro, for people who are interested in knowing more about you, they have to go to Scarface Street Stories. Okay, correct. So all of this information is in detail in Scarface Street Stories. And Face, thank you, brother, for opening up, my man, and for putting it out there, bro. Because listen, I grew up on the South Shore of Long Island in New York, man, in the late 80s, 90s. And I know that time period, brother.
Yep.
You could find me in Jersey. You could find me in Harlem. You could find me in Brooklyn. You could find me on the island. You could find me in Boston. You could find me in Philly. You could find me, goodness, wherever the train would take me. And now look at us now, Face. Yep. Look, you would never know, brother. Come on, man. Listen, that's why it takes courage to be honest this day and age. And I just got so much love for you, brother. My wife and I, she's from an area called Brentwood, Long Island.
I've heard of that.
Now you're going to know this about Brentwood. I know a little about you watching Street Stories, Scarface Street Stories on YouTube. Everybody go to that right after this. Okay, not during this, but after this, you're gonna say why. And you like hip hop, and I like the hip hop that you like.
Yeah, man.
And as I get older, I get cheesier, brother. Okay, so I'm a little cheesy, man. I'm also a fan of yours, so I'm walking a tightrope here, man. Doing it. Watching you for so many years. But EPMD, Eric Sermon, comes out of Brentwood. My wife graduated with Eric Sermon in Brentwood, New York. Eric, if you ever like to be on, we want you on, my man.
So not to cut you off, but I don't know if you heard the story about EPMD and the beef that those guys ended up having with each other. But so listen, it was crazy. And I may get the players mixed up here, but if I'm not mistaken, Eric Sermon, Parrish, got robbed in a home invasion. People kicked in his door, came in his house. His wife and children was there. They tied everybody up, robbed them. So, he's like, man, what happened? The detectives came and investigated, and come to find out, it gets traced back to his partner, Eric Sermon, who was mad that I guess Paris had started making money from another avenue and he wasn't getting none of it. And it just goes to show you, beefs out here in this world can happen at any time with anybody. And luckily that didn't end with any bloodshed, anybody dead. How they still were friends after that is beyond me.
And
But
they
actually
squashed it, I think. I think they got back to doing work together.
they did. And
yes,
I got to say, I'm a big
God bless.
proponent
God
of,
bless you all. Stay on
God
that.
bless. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big proponent of squashing beefs. I don't know that I would have been able to make peace with somebody who had pulled guns on my wife and children, but nevertheless, like you said, God bless. I will say this, you know, in hip hop now, we see all these guys beefing, and you see these young men, the Chicago drill scene, the Jacksonville drill scene, killing each other over words, man, over words. And, you know, back when I started this, that's why we wanted to make it a big thing, so we could stop people from getting shot and killed and murdered at a young age over nothing.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Now, I don't know. I said this in my New York Times piece. I don't know how many we've saved. I believe we've saved a couple. And if I went to my grave right now, I would be happy that we saved a couple lives.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
And, you know, Face, it's one of those things that when an individual understands that there are, you know, ways that people deal with situations that, you know, it's varied across, you know, a spectrum. Not everybody's able to just, they don't have the tools, you know, they may not have learned how to, you know, put their thoughts on ice and just, you know, just let it, you know, work itself out. I mean, that takes time and wisdom anyways. Street Beefs allows those individuals who are wired at this point to say, listen, let's go do this right now in a physical setting, to say, no, we don't have to do this with gun violence, knife violence, anything that could end somebody's life. We could do this the way they, you know, did this before all of that. And even with regulations, with a referee and people that are there, you know, medics that could be there to assist if there was ever an issue, but somebody that, you know, is overlooking two individuals who have a major difference. And you know, my one of my questions, Face, was, now it's not easy to start a business like this, to start a vision. Like, okay, so like, it's like, okay, you have an idea. How do you manifest this into over 2-point-something million followers, which, congratulations, by the way, well deserved.
Thank you. So let me say this to you. When I first started Street Beefs, I wasn't starting Street Beefs. I was just helping some dudes in my community who had a beef because I had a big backyard that was secluded. That was it. That was the long and the short of it. Then, then word spread, and another pair of people came, and we filmed it, so we had a witness and record of what went on. And then we were like, hey, let's throw it on YouTube. You know, we still didn't think nothing.
What year, brother, was that?
2008, my friend. So it's been 14 years of Street Beefs.
Right. And that's real. That's real right there. I love that.
Now, let me tell you, you know, you say, how do you go from the idea to what it is? I had so many obstacles put in my path on that 14-year journey. Listen, when I first started, there was a pastor who lived in my neighborhood, and he ran this this kind of shelter for at-risk kids, not kids. Everybody was 18, 20, 22. Long story short, a lot of them at the time, we were still dealing with a lot of street people. They were the ones coming and solving beefs in the yard. And then they would go back to this place with black eyes, busted lips. And the pastor was like, I hate what he's doing. This is disgusting. And he at first tried to start this campaign to shut Street Beefs down. Well, long story short, for one, he couldn't, because legally I wasn't breaking any laws. Two, me and him eventually had an encounter, and we sat and talked, and he actually attended an event, and he seen what I was doing, and he said, man, he said, you've probably saved a few lives already. And that was back in 2009. Okay. Fast forward. I was on probation in 2009. I had a probation officer who came to me and started a campaign. She said, you're not allowed to do street beefs anymore. And I said, bullshit, I ain't breaking no laws. You're not going to stop me. And I actually did it the right way. I went above her head. I filed complaints, and her supervisor came in and he's like, it just so happened it was a guy who I had seen at my gym multiple times. And he was like, dude, I see you at the gym all the time. This is the probation supervisor.
Love it.
And he said, so tell me what's going on here. So I showed him a video. He's like, this is it. He's like, this is a good thing.
Right on.
And he told her, he said, lady, you can't stop this. He said, just stop. And he told her that. He told her to back down.
That is so
So
cool.
I got through that obstacle.
Nice.
Then the city of Harrisonburg came at me for zoning violations, saying that, the amount of people we were having at the events was too much. And they ran me out of one area. So I had to go to another area. Then they ran me out of that area.
Wow.
And these are just small things, I'm telling you. I have had to battle to keep Street Beefs alive. And I did so because when I go to our events and I have young men and women walk up to me and they're like, dude, I really needed this today. And they'll tell me, I had one young guy tell me the other day, he said, man, he said, this last month I've been fighting not to get evicted. He said, I lost my job. I've been going through this and going through that. He said, I've been depressed. And he told me all that. He said, I'm so glad to be here. Then 5 minutes later, I seen him over there laughing and smiling with a bunch of other fighters. I said, man, I'm on the right path.
Yeah, you're on the right path, brother. Yeah, listen. Listen, when it feels right, Face, regardless of what's in your way, that's what you do. We know this now. Listen, I'll let everybody know my age. I think you're about my age. I think I'm this age. I think I'm 44.
Yo, I'm turning 44 next month.
Yeah. Happy birthday, brother. Hey,
that's right.
It feels like
Thank
43.
You.
It feels like 43.
Hey, right.
We've had some people on the show. Hip hop wise, one song I really dug growing up was 93 Till Infinity by Souls of Mischief.
Yeah.
We had A+ from Souls on the show. So go back, check out Plus. Listen, we've had some cool.
They're out of Oakland, right?
Out of Oakland. Yep. Hieroglyphics out of Oakland, brother. Now, listen,
my man.
I got 8 minutes with you, my man. And what I want to do is this. I have 3 questions I ask all of our guests. All right, brother? So, and I just want to thank you again, Face, for sharing your time on this June 10th. It's a Friday. You're busy in between fight after fight. I just want to ask also, Venom Black and Showtime. Got to ask.
Sure.
I thought it was probably the best boxing match I saw out of Street Beefs, out of all the beefs, out of all the Street Beefs events. Reason Showtime is just a beast. And big shout out, Showtime. Venom Black. Oh my gosh. You also catapult people's careers. So not just squashing beefs. Now, we've also had UFC fighter Ashley Evans Smith on the show. She does a lot of work in the UFC now. She's not fighting at the moment. But I see how, people who enjoy the sport of fighting, it's not easy to get into. A lot of times you have to be, sort of going into a college, a university, and get onto a team, a wrestling team or something like that, and get seen, and then, or be in a gym, and then, sort of find some avenues. But you've created something, brother. And I just want to make the point for everybody watching this. If anybody, and I was talking about this on the intro, if anybody is interested in going on down, I think it's in Virginia. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It is.
And it's in Virginia. In what part of Virginia is it, Face?
Winchester, Virginia.
Okay,
Winchester.
Awesome. Yep. So people can find it on Street Beefs website and all, I'm sure, and just by reaching out to you if they want to go fight. And I mentioned Northwest Street Beefs, who does a great job. West Coast Street Beefs, the Dirty South Street Beefs, all do an incredible job. So
correct.
Before I get into my final 3 questions, I just want to say, great job with that.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much.
That was such a great idea. Scaling out to each region of the country, and then having those regions have incredible fighters. And I think I got to give a shout out, because another one of the best fights I had ever seen was with Wolverine. I believe that's Corey. And
Yep.
and I've given shout outs on the intro to everybody here. But I didn't give a shout out to the El Coyote.
Yeah,
and I
he's a tough
believe,
dude.
wow, what a
Yeah.
boxer. Oh my gosh. And I believe he's from Merced, California. I'm not sure, but we have a lot of connections out there. So big shout out to the West Coast. But you also fought One-Eyed Wolf, it was?
Yeah, he was freaking humongous, dude.
Face massive dog. So listen, let me
Yeah.
just say this. Can I say this, bro? Before
Absolutely.
and then I'm going to go into my final 3 questions. You won that, and he won that in terms of obviously being gassed out during the end of round 3. Dude, he's huge, and a big shout out. Like you mentioned, that was a great fight. What a great
I'm
fight.
glad it was entertaining.
Oh, Face. I mean, just he's got to have so much power. You have so much power as well. But I just want to say this. When you said at the end was what Street Beefs encapsulates and what it embodies, it doesn't matter if you lost, because in the end, the beef was squashed. You said it. You won. He won. The world won right there. I
Right.
felt the chills, bro, just so you know. I don't know if you hear it from the outside in as much, because I know, you're working with people that you know, but it is the first time we're having the opportunity to connect face to face. We've done a couple of voice messages, but that's nothing compared to having an opportunity to talk. And I just want to say, man, well done.
Thank you,
Okay?
my brother. Thank
That's
you.
what it's about, brother. You
Thank
won.
you so much.
He won. That's what it's about. It was beautiful. I think everybody else felt that.
I see we got 3 minutes here, and I
Here's
do
my
not want
last
to miss
three.
your 3 questions.
My last 3, and I was just about to say, favorite book and author, or movie and director, or you can mix and match, or just one.
So it's tough for me, but I'm going to say that my favorite book, author, and director, I don't know if he's a director, Stephen King's The Stand. I read that book 5 times while I was in prison.
Wow.
5 times. And it's a
Great author.
massive book. I think it's like 1,100 pages. The book, I don't know if you're familiar with it. It entails the end of the world due to an engineered virus. And it kind of goes into the struggle between good and evil. And it's just a great book, man. The movie, it was made as a 90s miniseries. That was also amazing. I love the movie as well. So
Yeah,
all
The
of those.
Stand.
And for directors, real quick, to this day, Spike Lee is still my favorite director.
Do the Right Thing. I
My
know it.
man.
Yeah, great. That's actually my wife's favorite movie as well. Listen, brother, second of my last 3 questions. And the very last question is a cool word association. So it's like boom, boom, boom.
Okay.
Second question, my man. And this is the final question that when I was devising questions back in 2013, I asked everybody this, except one person, Graham Hancock, who you could see notoriously on Joe Rogan's podcast, but his phone was cutting out in England. I couldn't catch it for this. But this is the most simple question I could think of, brother. What is your favorite color or colors, if any, and why?
So I wear black. It's actually funny. Me and my wife were talking about this the other day.
Big
My
shout
whole
out to the
closet-
family.
Yeah, man.
And your
I
son who's a
literally-
fighter. And your son who's a beast.
That's right.
Big
A
shout out.
So I'll tell you, I went through my closet and I was dumbfounded because I had about 40 or 50 shirts. I actually have a lot of clothes. And out of them, there was only 8 that weren't black. Okay. I love the color black. Now, my reasoning is why I want to try to get away from that. But when I was young, I was really hard into gangster rap, NWA, plus 90s color and culture. A lot of guys wore the all black, wore black stuff. So yeah, black is my favorite color. Everything I
black
wear.
shirt and a little Carl Kanai pants.
That's right. That's right. So that's it, man. I wear black when I fight. It's my favorite color.
Right on. Thank you, brother. Face, final question. We're going to get it into 20 minutes, my man. Word association game. I'm going to say 4 words to you. I have them written down here. First word that pops into your mind, you just say it, brother. First word. Thank you for all this, my man.
Yep.
Fighting.
Fighting. What pops into my head when you say fighting?
First word.
Fighting, fists, I guess. Fists.
Right on.
Yep.
That's cool. Perfect, brother. Second word. Truth.
Truth, honesty. I believe people who tell the truth are honest people.
Right on. Third word, brother. Virginia.
Virginia, home. I call this home now, man. I love it here. So I got to call Virginia home.
Right on. Final word, brother. Family.
Family is life. You know, my family has saved my life and is my life. So when you say family, I say life.
God bless you all, you and your family. God bless Street Beefs. Absolutely. Thank you for your time today. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Scarface Face from Street Beefs, episode 158 of the Subjective Perspective Show. Face, would you like to leave the audience with any final words before you sign off, my friend?
Hey, I want to say to anybody out there right now struggling with a beef, a dispute, engaged in any kind of argument, it's not worth your life and it's not worth theirs. These things, if you don't learn to let them go, can snatch your life from you one way or another, be it you get killed or you go to prison. Let it go. Let it go, or hit us up and let us help you let it go. But let it go, man. Lastly, if you're out there struggling with addiction, there is another life past it, but you got to keep the faith and you got to make the effort. I love all of y'all, man. Hey, I appreciate you having me on.
Face, I hope to be out to Virginia one day to see you all in person with my wife. And I just want to thank you for your generosity and your time. We wish you all here from the studio and show a blessed day ahead. And maybe one day down the road, we'll have the opportunity to continue this conversation. An absolute joy. Thank you, brother. I'll let you sign off.
Thank you for having me.
We'll
have
talk.
a good one, my brother.
I'll text you later on just to connect with all the good stuff and send the video on over.
That sounds good, my friend. Talk soon.
Talk soon, brother. Ciao for now.
Bye-bye.
Peace. Bye.
Peace.
We hope you are all enjoying the show. Be sure to check us out on beawoke.com for all of our social media info. Till then, stay inspired.
Well, everybody, we hope that you enjoyed not only an insightful interview convo with Scarface from Street Beefs, but couple ideas that, you can really take with you through the rest of your life. That there's no reason to resort to violence, gun violence, street violence, without it being regulated on a circuit within an arena such as Street Beefs, which you have referees, people who know exactly, when to stop the fight and when to call it as the winner, because somebody who needs to get and feels as though they want to get that energy out, this is where you find lives being saved. And as Scarface had just mentioned, even if he had saved one life, and I would say he's saved many more, then he's done what he had been sent out to do. And that was an absolute joy for us. And again, being a fan of Scarface as well, being somebody who's watched him for years, it was just, my honor to have the time with him, to be able to ask a couple of those questions and to talk about a fight, because he has so many people who follow him and so many people who are reaching out to him. He was kind enough, generous enough with his time. And for that, we are truly grateful. Scarface, when you watch this, if you're watching it to this point after the interview, and if you have time to watch the interview, I know you're doing probably several interviews a day, perhaps. We just want to thank you very much for your time today. And we want to thank you all for your time in staying connected to what we do here at beawoke.com, the Subjective Perspective Show, on air since 2013, and truly find a fascination in the conversations that we get into with our featured guests. And we know that we have a lot of individuals who are looking to be on the show, and individuals that we feel should be on the show. We want to get them on the show. Just know, you all, if you're sending in press kits, it takes us a bit of time to get back, as we get quite a few of them. And we only host a show once every several months. So this will actually be our summer episode. We won't come back until, I think, the end of August or beginning of September. Now, with that said, it's really cool to be able to do this. And we want you all to know that we're just regular people that are following a vision. Just like Face has just told us how he followed a vision, how to jump through obstacles, whether it's the town coming at him for zoning, whether it's, people saying you can't do this, and he's going through all the motions, doing it the right way. That's what this is about. Doing it the right way. And realizing that Street Beefs is not only solving those issues between people, it's allowing for people to also have a platform to showcase their talents, their fighting talents, as I've worked with many fighters in the academic arena, some of the best fighters in the country in terms of wrestling and MMA. And I got to tell you, having, like I was saying to FaZe, having a platform for these individuals to showcase their talents is so important. And as I mentioned, Scarface and Street Beefs have over 2.4 million viewers. That's nothing to sneeze at. This is incredible. Obviously, he has a ton of followers and watchers, us being some of them. Some of those millions. And it makes us feel so good to watch somebody who's worked so hard do so well. It makes us feel great, because that's what we're about. Because I know what it feels like to be counted out. I know what that feels like. I know what it is. Okay? To live that life, as I mentioned to Scarface, coming out of the South Shore of Long Island in the, 1990s. Really my teenage years, that early 90s, mid 90s. And it gives you, and for those that I grew up with, that who know me, love y'all. You already know who I am. For those who don't know me, let's just say I grew up to that working class family, paycheck to paycheck. Okay. And that's how we survived. And grew up with some of the best people in the world. And that's why I'm very lucky. Very lucky to have this perspective, to have this work ethic. It's a work ethic that Scarface embodies, that he exemplifies. It's a relentless work ethic. When you know you have something to do, right? Just as my pops done carpets his whole life, and those that have seen me do talks about this know. And I'd be working with him, right? Early in my years, single digits, I remember. And we'd be on the road, going from job to job, And his goal and focus was to do the best job possible. It still is. It's still working. 50 years, maybe plus 50 plus. That's why I see the power and beauty in that work ethic. When you're creating something, whatever it is, listen, it could be like Street Beefs, right? Like Face created Street Beefs. And I was so happy to have the opportunity to talk to him about that. Because I want to tell people and to have the opportunity. Remember, we are people doing this out of the love for it. Never sought money from our audience and always sought to only inspire you all. Yeah, we have things you can buy and all that fun stuff. You can buy the shirt, we got stickers and fun stuff like that. Though, to keep us floating, all that cool stuff, it's one of those things that is a labor of love. We love doing this. It's an art for us. And it's fascinating just to be able to talk to Face, to be able to feel his energy one-on-one and to the world, obviously, and to be able to ask a couple of those questions, which I've been interested in for a bunch of years. And for you to see his kindness and generosity, that's what you want to be. You want to exhibit that. You want to be somebody who gives. Now, I know you can't give all the time. Trust me, I absolutely understand that. Though, when you're able to make a little time, just like we're so lucky we had that time made today, that was incredible. And obviously makes our day. Though, what Face just shared now shapes the world a bit. Because this is also historical record, right? An interview is historical record. The reason I say that, I'm somebody who has my bachelor's degree in history. And I used to do interviews for my history degree, right? We'd have to go out and interview people. My grandma, God rest her soul, grandma winning the game, 96 at that time. She was one of my most important interviews. I haven't put that out, but when I talk to my Aunt Fran, I think I'm gonna, get the permission to put it out to the world. So that'll perhaps happen down the road. That's me doing my bachelor's work. 21, maybe. Something like that. 22, something like that. So you get a sense of what I was doing. And I interviewed people prior to that for different classes, right? And you get a sense of what I do now. But that's why this happened, the Subjective Perspective show. I was interested in the interview process after I earned my degree. I was working a whole lot. And then had the opportunity to have a show and took that opportunity. And the story I've talked about on past episodes, I won't go deep into the story now, but you could see the story in depth on past episodes. So go to those past episodes over on our archives page at beawoke.com. Okay, that's BEAWOKE.com, as you can see right there on video, for those that are watching. Be Awoke in the Subjective Perspective. And there's Be Awoke on the pink here, www.beawoke.com. And get a sense of, all of the guests we've had on the show, as well as, listening a little more in depth into, who we are and what we've done in the past all these years. So it's a joy for us to have you all tuning in. We know we have a worldwide audience. We don't have 2.4 million or 2.7 million, however many millions. I know Scarface has millions upon millions of people on Street Beefs that follow him. But we have a couple of y'all that check us on now and growing. We get our stats and we see we grow. And we're growing and growing. small but mighty, believe in our vision, love what we do, and that's why we keep on doing it. And we hope that you go into your weekend and week and summer, ladies and gentlemen, with this episode 158 of the Subjective Perspective Show, guest featuring Chris Scarface Wilmore of Street Beefs. All of the ideas he's shared, everything that we've discussed. And we hope that you go into your summer inspired and a bit more thoughtful with the Subjective Perspective. Scarface and all of our past guests. This is season 8 of the Subjective Perspective Show, ladies and gentlemen. And I think it's pretty cool that we reached season 8 with our past episode with Chef Albert. And it's the end of our 8th year, going into our 9th year. Goodness gracious. The end of August. Well, the beginning of August is when we started, 2013. So we'll have our next episode August, September. So this episode is going to carry us over the next couple months. It's going to carry your thought process. So that's why after you listen to Scarface a couple of times, you rewind this, listen again, listen to it for different meaning, different context, extract the relevant data, as you know, all that fun stuff, right? All that means is just find what it is that's interesting to you, relevant to what it is that you're seeking. There's a lot that he shared. And that's why I love doing, a simple question such as, what's your favorite movie? What's your favorite color? Because that allows you all to connect with him. To say to yourself, hey, listen, that's like, I think like that too, Wow, if I think like that, he thinks like that, then perhaps I could do what he's doing. We want you to know, I want you to know that we're all one. The great musician, Robin S. DeMarley talked about it, right? One love, we're all one. And we find magic and beauty in everybody, all of us. There's some bad people out there, some evil people out there. So, you stay away from those people, and those aren't the people I'm talking about. But you see that beauty, and you could find in people who have done things that also that society would deem unfit, and crimes that we heard Scarface talk about, that he would he did some time, and talks about some of his in his Scarface Street Stories. He talks all about all of his the depths of what he has lived and gone through. Again, these are some of the most difficult things that one could imagine, and that's why I want you all to recognize that he's somebody, when he speaks with wisdom. He speaks with knowledge. He's been there. And that's why I want you always to realize, like he mentioned with addiction, you can't count people out. There's difficult stories, I know. There's tumultuous travesties of stories. But don't count people out, okay? I know how difficult this could be. And as Scarface mentioned, I'm just piggybacking off of what he had already mentioned. But it's super important to realize that you have the power to make differences not only in your life, but in the lives of others. Believe it. It's true. See, that's what's wild about it all. You may not realize it now. Who's ever watching this, you may not realize it, right? But you have the power to change other people's lives for the best. It's like your magic. Every one of us have the ability to do that. And I want you all to realize that it starts within. So, with addiction, if you're somebody dealing with addiction, it starts within. It starts obviously with recognizing, but also starts with realizing that there's people out there who care about you, There's people out there who want the best for you. Okay. So as hard as it is, work to reach out. And I know there may have been doors already shut in your face. Keep on knocking. Soon the right one will open. There's so many stories, and they're varied, okay, of how addiction happens, why it happens. But I'm just making a general point. I am not a specialist in this. I want to make that point. I'm just somebody who cares about people, okay? And understanding it from seeing it within the bounds of my own family, I understand. And I understand it's not easy. And I want you to know you're not alone. Okay. So just know if this speaks to you, reach out. Reach out to me. Feel free. Okay. Leave a message on YouTube. Send us a message on Gmail. beawokeent@gmail.com. And I could always be a positive force, even if it's just to listen. Phil could also direct you to people that are specialists and help you do a bit of research perhaps in your area, just out of the kindness of our hearts here at the studio and network, because we believe in what we do, and what we do here is work to inspire the public. We work to inspire the community, not through sensationalism, not through ideas of trying to get a minute clip that millions of people watch. We want millions of people to see this, but for the right reasons. We're the real deal. Working class to the bone. Work hard for what we do, for everything that we got. So if we're one of those people, we know what it is to work hard. Know what it is to grow and elevate from level to level. I like to look at it as from level to level. Metaphorically. You can get to the end of one level in your life. You may be there right now. And that one level, maybe you're frustrated. You want to do something else, but you just can't do it. Maybe you want to drive across America. Maybe you want to go do this, do that. You want to start college or not go to college and start a trade school. Maybe you want to start a career in some type of great labor work. As I mentioned, my father does carpets and floors. I want you to realize that, obviously, you got it in you to do it. Okay. And this is all about you, this show. This show is all about you. If you weren't around, we wouldn't be doing this show, quite honestly. It's something in us we feel we have to do. What that is, it could be, it's something I've always had, to be honest with you, since we're talking for a moment. I remember, and perhaps I'll put this on YouTube one day. 10th grade had a teacher, Mr. Panaleo. Mr. Panaleo, shout out if you remember me. And we had to do a project. And I forget what the project was totally about, but somehow me and a friend of mine, Alex, got to make a skate video because we skated. Alex became a movie producer, produced a couple big movies, Alex Heineman. Project X, one of them. The Gunman, Sean Penn, another one. Incredible work he did. But we made this movie, this old VCR, 2 VCRs next to each other. For those that know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm about to do. In order to splice the movie together and edit the movie old school ways, like how prior to the night, this is 92, 93, perhaps, you had 2 big VCRs. They're big machines that you put the VHS tape into, and they're probably 4 times the size of a device. Okay. Well, you do this, right? and you have to press play on one of them and record and play on the other. So you're playing one video and recording on the other video. So there's a blank videotape and there's the videotape you're recording from. So I'm splicing these video clips of us skating all through New York, Long Island, New York. And we got a 99 on it. I think Mr. Panaleo said, I can't give you a perfect. And maybe wouldn't give a perfect for whatever reason, or whatever it may be. But a 99 was sure good enough to be the best score I had ever reached at that point. And I think I was in 10th grade. So thank you for that, Mr. P. And stuck with me my whole life. So great job as a teacher. Just put that out there. And Alex, great dude right there. Check out the movies he's done. All right, check him out. The guy's a great guy. And I say all of that because this video thing that we're doing now, it's incredible, right? I just explained to you how you did these old movies. You have VHS tape. You have to put them in these big machines and press these buttons and try to time it all perfect. And if it gets messed up, it's just, it's not digital. You only have this one cassette tape or this VHS tape. It's like this big cassette tape. And it's a lot more difficult to be able to splice on a, app on your device. Goodness gracious, it's super duper easy. So that's why being able to do this and be in front of you all with the ability to hopefully give a dose of inspiration based upon the interviews that we do with some of the most interesting and iconic people on the planet since 2013. This is a joy for us, truly. On June 10th, 2022, we're going to finalize this episode with what we always remind you, episode 158 of the Subjective Perspective Show here on the Be Awoke Entertainment Network. A reminder, you have the power to make those differences in your life, not just in your life, but the lives of others. Keep on doing what you do. It all starts from within. Be that individual who sees the magic in yourself. And it's not easy, quite honestly. But don't let anybody ever pull the proverbial wool over your eyes. Trust me, if I could do it, and I know where I've come from and started, you could do it. Make it happen. And we hope that you go into your weekend, week, month, and summer a bit more thoughtful with Scarface's featured episode 158 and all of our episodes of the Subjective Perspective Show. We hope that you stay inspired with the Subjective Perspective. One.
Welcome to the Subjective Perspective Show. Season 8 is here for more, giving you what you've been waiting for.